So what's going on guys, K's here and welcome back to a brand new video. For today I will show you the first Descendant weapon tier list. In this game there are a lot of different weapons, and enemies you kill will frequently drop different ones. But the big question is, what weapons are the best and can do the highest damage possible? So I've done a bunch of testing and here are the results. If this sounds interesting to you, then let's get right into it. So then moving over to the first S tier weapon, and it is the Thunder Cage submachine gun. This is a great weapon for fast-paced combat. It releases electric shockwave when you defeat enemies, which deals additional damage in AoE range. You can get it early in the game, but its special effects only activate after you kill your first few targets. Overall, this weapon is suitable for every single character in the game, and if you're usually not sure which weapon will suit your build the best, then you can't go wrong with the Thunder Cage. So then for the second S tier weapon we have the Python submachine gun. This is another great weapon, as on hitting weak points, it will inflict a unique ability called the Prey. And Prey is a 1-second effect that reduces a bunch of resistances on the enemies. And most importantly, this can stack up to 20 times. This weapon works great with the non-element and toxic descendants, like the Freyna, Glay and Enzo. This is not the easiest weapon to use, as it requires decent aim for optimal effectiveness, but if you can get used to it, then you will be unstoppable. Then for the third S tier weapon we have the Perforator hand cannon. This is ideal for tackling tough enemies with shields. If you have accurate shooting, you can quickly handle strong enemies with just few shots. By default, when you use the Perforator, and if you land shots on weak points, then there is a chance to damage the enemy's shield, based on its maximum value. Higher firearm levels will increase its damage potential, and if you completely deplete an enemy's shield, it may also stun them. So overall, this weapon is great for every single class, and it's very effective against enemies with shields. So then for our next S tier weapon we have the Secret Garden tactical rifle. This semi-automatic rifle stands out in this tier by restoring your tech custom resource and increasing its damage. If you use the mentioned skill, it can sometimes recover a custom resource, or if you use the tech skill, it will grant you a unique ability called the Pest Control, and this will increase your ADK and skill power by 5% for the next 5 seconds, and it can stack up to 3 times. Overall, this weapon is good for characters that use the mentioned or tech skills, which primarily is Glay or Ajax. And lastly, you will get insanely high firing rate and ammo capacity. Then for the fifth S tier weapon we have the Enduring Legacy. This machine gun accelerates the triggering of the elemental effects, such as burn, chill and etc., while reducing enemy elemental resistances. It's perfect for descendants with elemental skills such as Lepic, Essimo or Blair, and when you hit an enemy with the Enduring Legacy, it increases the chance of triggering the elemental status effect and inflict the cleansing on the target, which reduces the fire resistance and applies burn. Hitting a burned enemy will boost your weapon's ATK and apply this buff to your next attack. So overall, this weapon has high firing speed, good reload efficiency, easily applies attribute-based status effects, and is perfect for the fire element characters. Then next up we have the Smithereens, which we will place right in the S tier. When you use the shotgun and hit enemies with all of your bullets, it will increase your critical hit rate and critical hit damage, and when you land a critical hit, it will give you a unique ability called the Amplification that increases your shell amount by 2 more bullets. Smithereens is perfect for critical focused builds, because they will boost insanely high your critical hit rate and damage. I recommend to use this for characters like the Sharon and Bunny, but it takes time to realign aim after each shot. So overall, this weapon guarantees to give you a critical hit when all of your bullets hit. You get increased shell capacity, so you don't have to reload that much. And lastly, the shotgun has higher DPS compared to something like the Executioner. And then for the last and final S tier weapon we have the Afterglow sword sniper rifle. So on hitting a weak point, it will inflict a unique effect called the Dead Propagation, which improves your weak point damage by 5% per stack. You can also get extra critical hit rate when hitting commanders or other elite enemies. The Afterglow sword is made to excel in defeating formidable enemies. With its high critical hit rate, mastering it demands considerable time and dedication, which makes it a rewarding challenge for good players. So overall, this weapon is suitable for every single character, and mainly most players use it in the third weapon slot, dedicated for mainly hard boss fights. So then next up we have the A tier, and the first weapon that deserves to be in here is the Fallen Hope Assault Rifle. So when you hit enemies that are poisoned, it increases your ATK and applies even more poison damage buff. And when you defeat an enemy, then that same guy on his death will trigger an explosion, which will inflict even more AoE damage. The explosion's chance to trigger is 30%, and it will do more than 55% additional damage on top of everything else. The Fallen Hope excels when used against poison enemies, benefiting from its unique synergy with the Freyna abilities, as she is currently the only one Descendant that is capable of utilizing this effectively. So overall, if you're a Freyna player that wants to use the highest damage possible weapon for your specific class, then here you go. Then next up we have the Craig's Reverse Fate, which we will place right in the A tier. Here we have another tactical rifle, that when you hit an enemy with the max shields, it will proc a bombardment and have a set chance to inflict a burn effect on the target. When both of these effects are activated together, they will do 100% more weapon damage in the first hit, and then plus 10 extra % for the next 3 seconds. Overall, this weapon enhances your AoE damage, however, it reduces your accuracy by 20% for both aimed shots and hip fire. So then for the next A tier weapon we have the Executor shotgun. This is one of the game's strongest weapons. The more pellets that hit your target in a single shot, the more damage the shotgun deals. Additionally, the shots electrocute enemies, increasing its damage even more. And then when all bullets hit, the Executor's exhalation activates for the next 5 seconds. But missing shots reduces the effect range. On max power, firing removes the effect, boosts firearm ADK on hit, and electrocutes the target. Hitting that target further boosts the firearm ADK even more, and applies this buff to your next attack. Overall, I recommend to use this weapon for fast moving and up close and personal characters, like the Bunny and Sharon. Then for the next one we have the Wave of Light, which we will place right in the A tier. So after you reload the scout rifle, it will give you a unique ability called the Solar Halo that reduces your recoil by 50% and increases your critical hit rate by 45%. And then when you hit enemies while the previous Solar Halo ability is active, then now a brand new Lunar Halo ability will activate that lasts for 6 seconds and applies a 50% debuff on the enemy. So overall this weapon will boost your critical hit chance after reloading and will reduce enemy healing when hit afterwards. It offers superior DPS compared to something like the Blue Beetle, making it a versatile choice for every single Descendant. So then for one of the last A tier weapons we have the Sigvores Proof. This is a launcher that excels with its ability to stick and detonate grenades, which will deal a bunch of damage. However, its detonation timing could benefit from improvement, so it's possible that the devs might be buffing this weapon very soon. Overall, the Sigvores Proof is obtainable through the current Battle Pass Premium upgrade. It's very effective to clear weaker enemies with its AoE, and it will inflict the burn, so mainly I recommend to use this weapon for only the Blair character. And then for the last and final A tier weapon we have the Nazeistras Devotion. This is a versatile hand cannon that reduces the enemy's defenses when hitting a weak point, making them easier targets. It also restores ally shields by sacrificing your mana. This is perfect for support-oriented Descendants like the Jerbear and Yujin. So, the main selling point of why this weapon is so highly ranked is because when hitting an enemy's weak point, it applies the unique Devotion mark, which makes this gun great for starting boss fights to get insanely high single target damage. So then let's go over to the next B tier, and the first weapon that we will place in here is the Blue Beetle Scout Rifle. So when you use fusion skills, it will give you a unique ability called the Arcane Energy, or when you use the Singular skill, then it will give you a Purification skill Both of them will trigger 50% of the time, and the Arcane will give you increased skill critical hit rate, while the Purification will remove any debuffs from your target. Overall, the blue beetle isn't the most powerful gun in the first Descendant, but it balances offensive and defensive play, making it reliable for versatile characters like the Yu Jin or Valby. Its buffs are tied to the skill usage, which can be somewhat inconvenient. Then next up we have the final masterpiece, that we will place right in the B tier. This is a very versatile handgun that offers various buffs upon each reload, such as increased critical hit rate and fire rate. However, the random nature of these buffs may not always be advantageous in every situation. Every single Descendant can use this weapon, but because of the 33% chance of getting one of the 3 buffs, it reduces your damage potential. So then for the 16th weapon we have the Divine Punishment, that deserves to be placed right in the B tier. This assault rifle is ideal for support-oriented Descendants, like the Jailbear, Yu Jin and Viessa, and ranks among the top support guns in the game. It rewards you each time you buff allies, making it highly effective in combat, especially in group boss fights. Overall, this weapon strengthens your defenses when you apply buffs. It also strengthens your firepower when applying debuffs, and finally it reduces your skill cooldown when healing. Then for the next B tier weapon we have the Piercing Light. This sniper rifle excels in precision shooting, which makes it very easy to use. It is a strong choice for all characters, especially for Bunny, due to its high critical hit chance when hitting multiple enemies, and its ability to remove buffs from enemies. Overall, this has 100% chance to remove enemy buffs when hitting their weak point, and even a 100% chance of critical hit rate when hitting 2 targets with the same bullet penetration. Then for one of the last B tier weapons we have the Restored Relic. This is a launcher that uses a rare ammo type. It fires guided rounds that deal additional AoE damage and have a chance to replace regular projectiles during firing. Overall, this gun is suitable for all Descendants, and its pros are that you get a chance to fire an additional guided missile when shooting. The CA guided missile deals continuous damage upon hitting, and then the CDPS is lower compared to something like the Sigvores proof. And then for the last and final B tier weapon we have the Clairvoyance. This beam rifle deals more damage the longer you hold the fire button. It also slows enemies by 70% and reduces their chill element resistance. Also, your unique aspect is that when hitting an enemy with a stage 2 beam, it triggers a Void Gaze, and a stage 3 inflicts a Pale Calling. Both of these effects remove enemy's chill resistance by 20% and decrease the action speed by 70%. Overall, the Clairvoyance reduces enemy resistance to skills on hit. It also applies a frostbite-like effect, and it is the best used with Viessa's high damage skills. So then let's move over to the C tier, and the first weapon that we will place in here is the Last Dagger. This handgun damage increases with high stacks of its buffs after defeating enemies. This buff will last for 10 seconds and increase your critical hit rate per stack, hit rate at max stacks, and your weapon's ATK at max stacks. Reaching its full potential can be challenging and risky, as stacking patience by defeating enemies will take quite a bit of time. Overall, this weapon increases your damage upon defeating enemies. There's even a chance that when damaging enemies, while fully buffed, will stun them. But as I said, the big problem is that maintaining buffs can be quite challenging. And then for the last and final C tier weapon we have the Albion cavalry gun. This machine gun excels at dealing extra damage to stun or crowd control enemies, making it ideal for Descendants who can stun opponents, like the Sharon or Ajax. Your unique aspect is that when hitting a stunned enemy, it increases your ATK and applies the next attack effects, and your critical hits on stunned enemies have a chance to stun them one more time. Overall, this weapon increases your damage dealt to stunned enemies, but unfortunately, there is no unique ability when enemies cannot be stunned, so then this weapon becomes completely useless. And then for the last and final weapon we have the King's Guard Lance, which I will place right in the D tier. This beam rifle has been known for its area control. Its special ability enhances duration and range with each activation, but demands significant setup time and practice to master. Overall, any Descendant can use it, and it has a wide range attacks. It can deploy a guard lance that disperses damage to nearby enemies when hit, but unfortunately, it requires quite a bit of practice to use effectively. So then, last but not the least, let me quickly summarize this tier list and what we can learn from it. The handguns are the weakest due to the lower damage, limited ammo and semi-automatic fire. Then the hand cannons generally offer higher damage output and are more effective, especially in boss fights. Then the beam rifles and tactical rifles are situational and may not always be ideal. Rocket launchers are powerful but limited by ammo availability and situational use, as they mainly are used only for clearing trash enemies. And finally, the assault rifle and machine guns are often considered the best choices, due to their large magazine sizes and very good damage values. And that's about it. So with that said, I really do appreciate everyone for watching guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or suggestions, then feel free to leave your comments in the comment section down below. And while you're doing that, please click like, subscribe and enable that notification bell, so this way you could support the channel and not miss any more amazing content. With that said, you have an amazing day and I will see you in the next one, so take it easy, peace.